from a racist bigot. You gotta love them. See, there's a reason why we're supposed to have laws. Because, well, murdering people is wrong. Now, we've got people who are rioting because it's the only thing that any of you hear. Any of you. You're murdering homeless people, for Christ's sake. How much more disgusting of people can you be? I've said it before and I've said it again. My countrymen are cowards. I can't think of them as anything but. You know what being a good man is? How about we ignore the man part and we just decide what being a good person is and we hold everybody accountable with that. I don't know any good people other than me. So here's the problem that I'm seeing. Police murder a bunch of black people and white people don't care, right? Well, police murder a lot more homeless people and nobody cares. Not BLM, not the LGBT community. Nobody cares when you murder a homeless person. Nobody cares when you take a 9mm and stick it up to a homeless person's forehead and blow his brains out. Nobody cares. What did the Nazis do to the Jews when they killed the Jews? They put them in ovens. Where do they put homeless people when we're dead? Where do they put us? Do we get a nice fancy mausoleum? No, we get cremated. It's cheap.
Placing them in the bagging area. 339. If you have your club card, please scan it now.
And then we're replacing people with machines, and we still need people. Huh. Right? Are we being intelligent?
Your card has been
BLM doesn't give a shit about the homeless. The ACLU doesn't give a shit about the homeless, because here's the thing. No human being should have to go through what I've gone through. No human being. I told y'all about Waylon Lolatai. And he had to be up on the news, up on Denver News, before anybody did anything about Waylon Lolatai. I want you to look at how hard I fought to try to get that exposed. And now that Boulder no longer has to deal with Waylon Lolatai, it is a much safer place. Now let's take a look at Clearview. They killed Tibor Hatay. How appropriate was that? I get told how I should think and how I should feel. Now, they hear a song people are wanting to call racist, and apparently now it's just white liberals calling it racist. Well, I've heard plenty of opinions on it from both black people and white people, and they're mixed from both sides. Being somebody who's lived in a small town, you fucking kidding me? You goddamn right. It's not just racist. I don't think that racist covers it. Racist doesn't even come close to covering it. There's the human beings who have property and the human beings who are property, and there are none in between. If you don't own property, you are property of someone else, because it is illegal to be homeless anywhere in the United States. You don't get to just live in a homeless shelter and never leave. Maybe you should find out about some of the homeless shelters around here or anywhere else in the United States. Some of them are nicer than others. There was a man today that I was talking to. I was explaining to him, well, here's something to ponder. If you lived in a house, or sorry, if you lived in Portland before coming to Tillamook, you'd think it's a nice place. If you were homeless in Portland and then became homeless in Tillamook, you would think that Tillamook is a nice place. Cops really are nicer than a lot of places. Sort of. They don't want the paperwork, they don't want the hassle. Unfortunately, that's gotten a lot of my friends and loved ones killed in many cases. Alright, that ought to be close enough. I hope it is. I went to jail. I called the cops 6 times on my, well, pretty much the only friend that I had at the time, Ran Ingersoll. I called the cops 3 times anonymously. Your lights! Oh, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Y'all didn't hear me doing a good deed there. As long as you're pretending I'm a monster, you're still on here listening. Those who don't have property. This is what small towns are all about. Being hateful bigots. Did Jesus tell us to be hateful bigots? Even slaves are allowed housing, you stupid shits. Even slaves are allowed housing. Did you know that? Just so you know, every one of you homeless black folks out on the streets busting your ass and getting fucked up by the cops, getting murdered by the cops. If we were slaves, we wouldn't be homeless. We wouldn't be hungry. No, we're worse off than slaves now. The Bible is used to keep slavery legal here for a long time. Southern variation of Christianity. The Bible says how you're supposed to treat your slaves. Do you even know how you got a slave? If you were a Hebrew? Did you bother to look that up? We talk about how we're the greatest country in the world. Oh, Donald Trump's gonna make it great again. Well, he didn't. And neither did Barack Obama. Neither did the KKK or BLM. It's unfortunate that the racist rednecks are the ones with all the guns. The ones digging for an excuse to shoot someone. Who gives a fuck if they're unarmed? BLM was saying silence is violence for a very long time, weren't they? And you're all still silent about me. They're still silent about the plights of the individual homeless who are out here. There's a lot of people out here on the streets that I know who have stories to match mine. They just don't have the evidence. But guess who does? There's a lot of people who told me things that they wanted to throw in my face later on. Well, they didn't tell those things to the police. They didn't tell those things to mental health. They didn't tell those things to courts. They didn't tell those things to my public pretenders. They only told them to me. Let me tell you about small towns. In small towns, it's all about table talk. Well, Nebraskans and people in rural areas in general consume a lot more alcohol. They are very much intolerant communities of if you're a homeless who's drunk. Small towns don't want homeless there at all. They want to run you off to the big cities. And the big cities want to run you off to anywhere but there. Then, of course, we got all this money that's going to help out the homeless. But is it being used to help the homeless? No, it's being used for torching our homes. You son of a bitch. While you stand idly by and make excuses why we deserve it. You son of a bitch. By God, this is the reason every hobo should be armed. Protect ourselves from small towns. Protect ourselves from Christians. Protect ourselves from property owners. Protect ourselves. But we're not allowed. No, you have to have your socially acceptable victim. And now that it's no longer okay to do these things to black people, you do them to us. And you pigeonhole us all into the same category. You don't want to be treated like you're Bone Thugs and Harmony. You hear them albums? Man, that's some twisted stuff. You want to be treated that way? No, of course you don't. Do you want to be treated like you're a stereotypical black gangster from Harlem? Or from Compton? Slinging crack, slinging meth. Do you want to be treated that way? No? I don't want to be treated that way either. The majority of the black people being killed by police are friggin' homeless. There are more homeless rapes than you're going to find anywhere else other than in childcare. And by childcare, that includes your parents. Your parents are the most likely people to kill you overwhelmingly. Your parents are the most likely people to molest you overwhelmingly. And overwhelmingly in small towns. It's much, much higher. And overwhelmingly in small towns, boys are shooting themselves in the head because they have parents who are racists and bigots, who are always hateful, always trying to stockpile for when black people invade their town. Oh my God! There was some Hispanic-looking children last night walking somewhere near some white children, and what do those white kids do? Fucking jump right to paranoia. And then there's the rest of y'all with your non-stop violence. I support your right to own a gun, but not if you're a violent dickhead like this douchebag. Are you fucking kidding me? He's literally looking for an excuse to shoot people. He's literally saying that it is okay to kill people for doing what they are doing to homeless. Police are doing these things to the homeless. Are we allowed to kill somebody for torching our stuff? Are we allowed to murder you for stealing our things? If so, there wouldn't be a police officer alive in this country. God damn. Alright, now I'm gonna get out of my car and I'm gonna try not to fuck up my back, start my car. I'll be right back, assholes. Where the fuck are my goddamn keys? Moral of the story, might makes right in America. You got property and you got guns, you can kill whoever the fuck you want. If you have no property and have no guns, anybody can kill you whenever the fuck they want. Fuck this goddamn country and fuck small towns. Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Everybody rocking, everybody roll. Alright, let's see if we can get this going. Gotta take myself a chunk of metal and shove it down in there and make it work. I'll be right back. I know that looked very Nebraskan and very alcoholic, but no, it's a Monster Java. No alcohol. I don't drink. What are you up to today? I noticed I got one viewer. Chunk of metal, chunk of metal. There it is. This work. Make sure that's neutral. People are just plain intolerant. You know what? I was in prison for trying to turn in corrupt cops and a child molester. I'm pretty fucking proud of that. Ran Ingersoll. She's dead now, but she was involved in a lot of this situation. When she was beating on them kids, I made 3 calls anonymously from other people's phones. Then I made 3 calls from my phone, live on YouTube. Then I broke the law. I got those girls safe by whatever means necessary, short of harming people physically. I am not interested in hitting people or kicking people or anything of the like. But I also tell people that I have adverse reactions to the medications that they tend to put in us. I know this from an experience of being a child in the system and knowing how they treat us. The system is fucked. When you talk about mental health, well, what's mental health in a small town? Shut the fuck up and man up. Sew your vagina up. That is so common a saying in places like, well, nearly every small town in America. You just demasculate him. How dare a man need help? How dare a man come to you with his problems? When you come to a man with your problems because you need help, man, that guy will pour his shit out onto you and tell you all of the problems that he has in his life, and he'll never hear what you're going through. Men don't tend to group together the same way that women tend to. The ones that do achieve some pretty impossible things, like the first manned flight. What happened with the Wright brothers? You had 2 grown men, both using their imaginations and their technical skills to the max. What do Nebraskans do? Drink, smoke, and fucking shoot things. If the ATF was worth its weight in shit, well, they're worth their weight in at least that, because they know they can't literally arrest every single Nebraskan. They can't arrest every single Texan. They can't arrest every single person in Arizona. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's pretty much Nebraska. You might be devoid of the tobacco, but getting drunk and shooting guns is a staple of redneck society. It's a staple of small towns everywhere. So is pretending to be a Christian in between beating on your wife and kids. In between fucking your son or your daughter. Incest runs rampant in small towns. But you already knew that. That's one of the biggest running jokes anywhere, isn't it? Except it's not a joke. It is not a joke. Small towns take care of their own, huh? That's right. If it's a KKK town, the KKK is going to take care of the KKK in the KKK's interests. They don't give two shits about you. How do I get the money? Simple. Homeless people. You ignore them until they come to you for help because they're being taken advantage of and abused. And you send them to fucking therapy. And you run them around in circles with this housing shit and therapy, having them eat up all of their time that they could be making sure they got something to eat. Because you're going to help them. In all these years, who has helped me to turn in this evidence? That's because my friends and family make me go to these government people alone. By government people, that's all of these agencies that are profiting from not doing their jobs as mandated reporters. Furthermore, they're not just refusing to do their jobs as mandated reporters. That's a misdemeanor, but it's only a misdemeanor for so long. When that person's predator harms them again, when an at-risk adult is harmed and the police do not do their jobs, and then that person is harmed more, resulting in personal injury or death, there are criminal charges, not civil, but criminal charges that need to be pressed. The body cameras with Waylon Lolatai would have sealed him up and at least 4 other officers in prison. He never would have pulled out a shotgun on Samuel Leon Lawrence IV. Oh, I gotta pull over. It says no parking. Jesus. Alright. I'll figure it out. The thing is, with this fella on the front cover and with that Jack whatever, Jockstrap Aldean, his song is way out of line. We've got people who have everything that we don't. Everything that makes it magically okay for them to kill us. You get to see how we run around to all these therapy sessions over and over and over again, and what do? They help us out when we're being abused? No, they send us to more therapy sessions. They've got a specific amount of time, and, well, they have to try to run as many people through as possible so they can get as much money as possible, committing Medicare and Medicaid fraud, among other things, like TFCC here in Tillamook, busted red-handed. Same thing as TCCHC. And all of these agencies, when I tried to turn them in, I was forced to turn them into themselves. And they were able to retaliate against me and cut me off. It's akin to sending a rape victim to their rapist, to have their rapist investigate the rape. Police chief. The way that I explain police chiefs in America, it's akin to having a mother who thinks her kids could do no wrong. Unless she is forced to look at the evidence, she's just going to play like her son would never do anything wrong. You know the types. Oh, my son would never do that. My son would never rape anybody. My son would never murder cats in the backyard. My son would never bully anyone. I believe my son. I don't have to look at evidence. I believe him. How about if that mother records her son beating on disabled people in the backyard of her house? So she's got evidence of the abuse. Can you imagine having to go to her? You go to the cops and you say, hey, cops, this is what happened. And they tell you, oh, well, you should go tell that lady what her son did. Well, officer, I just told you she filmed the whole thing. She's got the whole thing on film. Maybe you should go get it. Police chiefs don't want to be known for having a dirty department or for being stupid in who they hire. Forcing a homeless victim to turn in their predators to their predators is immoral. We already know that Boulder City Council and nearly every city council nationwide and every police officer nationwide is subject to the very bias that their training tells them that they're not supposed to have. The things they're supposed to do when an at-risk and disabled adult comes to them about abuse. What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to secure the victim and the evidence. Secure the victim and the evidence. Take me to Tillamook Sporting Goods.
Okay, Tillamook Sporting Goods. Here we go.
And this will allow me to know how fast I'm going.
Head north toward 5th Street.
I know how to get to the
Tillamook
place.
Sporting Goods may be closed by the time you arrive.
It should be closed by the time I arrive. It's already closed.
Head west on 6th Street toward Pacific Avenue, then turn right onto Pacific Avenue.
You know, as soon as there was a safety situation
Take the next left onto Madrona Avenue.
with Amy's kids,
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto 1st Street.
Amy Kalina Kingery, I tried to do something, and in between trying to do something because the police were not forthcoming in their efforts. In between, I tried to talk Rihanna into possibly not drinking as much and possibly not hitting the fucking kids. I mean, holy Christ, this is a no goddamn brainer, I'd have thought. Yeah. Amy Kalina Kingery decided to leave her kids with an alcoholic lush. A 98-pound woman who was going through an entire 175 of Captain Morgan's every single day, if not more. Ran Ingersoll was hitting them kids.
Right onto Pacific Avenue.
Not that it mattered, Amy hit them kids, and so did Josh. Well, actually, it did matter. It did matter to me. It mattered enough to me that I was willing to call the cops 3 times anonymously, 3 times live, and was willing to break the law
Right onto Pacific Avenue.
to get those girls safe. You know what ended up happening? They ended up getting a good foster home. A good foster home. They even wrote the judge and said they didn't want to go back and live with their mom. Oh yes, this is a right-hand turn. It just always weirds me out.
Continue for 1 mile.
Usually trucks park there, so it's difficult to see past them. What got Natalie Bollinger killed? Mandated reporters not doing their fucking jobs for homeless and disabled men. They'd have done their fucking jobs and actually listened to me about the fucking abuse I was going through, Natalie would still be alive today. See, that's the problem with the slander. Natalie Bollinger cut her off. And the one dude who actually gave a shit about her for something other than her goddamn vagina by pretending that I stalked her in Virginia. That turned into a bunch of rumors that she didn't tell. She didn't go spreading around all the real nasty shit. No, Maddie Boa did that. Maddie Boa did that. The people that Natalie Bollinger tried pretending I was a stalker to, well, you know what? I've had to deal with real fucking stalkers. So I already know the stuff that they were telling her. Oh, if he's stalking you, you need to do this, you need to do that. The thing is, she wasn't being stalked, she was being fucking ignored. Ignored. When I left Virginia, I was fucking done with her. I was done with her sister. I was done with her family. I was done with all of it. I just wanted to go home to Boulder, Colorado and see my older brother. And see Mobley, a.k.a. Stephen McMillian, who's now dead. See Christine Buhit, who's now dead. I wanted to go see Janine Barrett, who is now dead. Dead, 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 dead. And most of these situations with my friends, it wasn't something sinister that happened. But we're also homeless, so a lot of sinister stuff does happen. I have Tourette syndrome, and a lot of people in my life who treat me like I'm a fucking druggie want to tell me things like, I didn't know you had Tourette's. Well, that's because you were too busy confused for being a druggie. Do what? Yeah, you walk faster than I drove. I had to get out of my vehicle and start it up. I also went in and got myself a nice cold something to drink of the coffee variety. Unfortunately, it's now starting to get chilly. How you feeling?
Alright. Got any comment tripping out about aliens?
Do what?
You got me thinking about aliens again.
Getting market.
Right?
Nope.
Go see how they Argan market. I can see the grocery part, but I can't see the B really. So I said Oregon Market. Oregon Market.
Yeah, I was just bitching at my YouTube channel about what good people are. A lot of people confuse good for nice. Just because somebody's nice to you doesn't mean they're not a used car salesman, you know? I mean, hell, if you're a used car salesman, it's probably a good idea to be a nice person. Or at least pretend to be a nice person.
Yeah, you drew me out of $3,900 on a truck that had a leak in it, and I didn't realize it is. And so my transmission went out. And that's like a $2,500 fix on that truck.
I'm pretty sure that's probably not politically correct terminology that you used there, but
Yeah, that's the funny people around here say.
my God, dude, the kids around here are as racist as their fucking parents. At least in Chapel, Nebraska, I do have to blame myself partially for that. There's a lot of kids there that grew up with me as an alternate living human being. Like, they're used to the status quo, and then here comes Sean David Schwartz, this fucking weirdo who grew up in the system with a bunch of black kids. And he twitches weird. Like, they didn't know what to think of me.
Yeah, as you can tell, Oregon is slightly southern. Southern.
Fucked up?
It's slightly influenced by the South, yeah. But that's because of the Oregon Trail, though. Back in history.
I think it's more of the fact that people are... They're self-centered and greedy and think that they deserve everything more than everybody else.
Certain places I've been to.
Whether they get on you or
for
not.
being that way, but not here.
Well, that depends on where he came from before he came here.
Normal fucking weather. Especially like racist jokes and shit.
I don't like racist jokes.
Yeah.
I don't like rape jokes. I don't like dead baby jokes. But then again, I know quite a few of each. Kind of like I don't like the idea of shooting stuff, but I've shot myself more than one rabbit for dinner. But I definitely make a distinction between a rabbit and a human being. A lot of people don't make that distinction. Nearly everybody that I know, just like you, for example, when I was asking you what you would do if people were doing right, threatening my friends, threatening to kill my family and stuff.
Well, if they threaten your life. But at the same time, I've been thinking more about like spirituality and stuff. That person's soul is probably just gonna get reincarnated and come back. So it doesn't really matter if we kill people or not.
I disagree with that.
Once
I think it does matter.
Spiritual, bro, I started to realize.
I think it does matter. I think because what you were saying, you said that you would shoot them, and for me, I don't see somebody as coming back from the dead in any way, shape, or form. They're dead. But besides that, it is still that you're ending if you shoot them.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the capability that that evil demonic entity that's in that person's body, which is what I believe. A human being, somebody that actually has human instinct, would not act like that. So I guess I'm like kind of.
Well, that's where a lot of people, most people agree with you. Most people agree with you.
I'm not Christian, but I'm definitely agnostic.
I could literally show you hundreds of recordings of people saying exactly that same stuff. The whole, when people tell me that they would kill people who do that stuff, and people are doing that stuff to me, and I'm trying to turn it into the police. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to not be some sort of vigilante bandit. But legit people threatened to kill my family, and legit people killed members of my family and friends. Well, friends, not family, but threatened repeatedly. My little sister had to stay with a registered sex offender with my niece because of the safety issues that arose. You know how fucked up that is? She had to stay in her ex-husband's dad's backyard in a fucking trailer. Like a little dinky fucking, probably about the size, a little bit wider, but about the size of my car. I mean, the whole thing would fit in the same parking space.
So, talking about these.
Reason, because it's not just talking, it's trying to educate people on the situation and trying to get help.
I'm more and more starting to believe that what we think is what we get. So
Natalie
also
was shot in the
creators
head
in this
because I was
consciousness
afraid of her
reality,
getting
right?
murdered.
the more I've gotten very spiritual lately.
A lot of people have been trying to tell me that my reality is based on what I think. And because of what I think, that's what's going to happen. Well, that's not how it works. Just because I thought to myself, man, I certainly hope nobody
Well,
fucking
I'm not
kills
saying that's
Natalie.
in your case, that may not be true, but in my case, it is.
Yeah.
I've started noticing every single thing I say. I'm not joking, dude.
Well, a lot of people told me that because of the way that I think, that it makes things real. No, the thing is that Natalie Bollinger wasn't killed because I was afraid of her being killed. Christine Dubuque didn't overdose because I was afraid of overdosing.
No, but their lives have nothing to do with what I'm saying. It's them putting out what they're putting out. It has nothing to do with you. See, it's not you control the whole entire game. Yeah, everybody with what they're outputting is what they're getting, because what you think is what you're going to believe, and what you believe is what you're going to attract. So
I used to believe
if it helps you to get these things out, then we all listen to it. But I'm not going to really talk about I noticed when I stopped thinking about, because I had a really fucked up past, dude. So when I stopped thinking about it, when I stopped talking about it, I noticed that I started to become more happy. I started to become more upbeat.
For me,
not
it's
like
different.
I don't remember everything that happened. It's just that it's not in my mind, on my consciousness, and trying to get rid of it.
Well, for me, it's a matter of it still happened. I literally, all of the things that, everything in my life was taken from me over lies. And I can't take care of myself, and I can't depend on others to take care of me. I can't afford to take care of myself, especially when I have to maintain a vehicle so I can spend all of my money going to appointments where they're supposed to help me and literally do nothing but waste my time and have me come back in 30 days. I get victimized out here often.
It's working perfect.
It's not working perfect.
It's working perfect for the elites, the great.
Well, the thing is,
in charge of the system, it's working
all of these homeless people out here. All right, let me explain to you how a family works. When somebody in a family comes to you and has been raped, all right, what you do is you want to know what happened and when, and if they're busy telling you, you don't interrupt them. You listen to them, and then you help them to fucking turn it in. This is how a family works. Out here on the streets, we've got a bunch of fucking junkies and goddamn nut jobs.
I don't know how to help them.
When you come to them for help, what they do is they want to tell you their stories, and they want to make it story sharing time, or they want to make it all about them, which makes it therapy time. So when you are literally just assaulted, like I was trying to explain earlier, let's say I was just assaulted, just punched in the nose, and I come to you because I was just punched in the nose. Well, a friend or family member, as a disabled adult, are the only people who are able to help out the situation, because they can go in with the victim, make sure what the victim is saying is actually being heard, that they're not being talked over like they're an animal, like they're either a bad dog or a poor puppy, because those are both condescending as fuck, and they're also both techniques that are used for blowing off a victim, and mandated reporters should never do that. The fact is that my predators are still out there, and now they have big heads because they've gotten away with it repeatedly. You know what happens when predators get away with doing something and nobody stops them?
Keep doing it.
They keep doing it, and they do it more and more and worse and worse. I literally got to the point where I'm a peaceful dude, but I literally had to pretend, at least vocally, to be one of my predators. I literally had to start screaming and yelling and cursing
I'm gonna go grab
back
my
at
stuff so I
people.
don't have to keep watching it. So
You're
I can,
good.
pay better attention. Or you can drive over here. Just have my stuff here.
No, that's all right. Chris is going to show there's that parking space, and there's a lady in a red Honda that likes to park there, and she's a bitch. So I'd just as soon avoid her. But I do get that's a long way to carry stuff all the way over here.
That's not
It's,
bad.
you're right. You walked all that stuff down here from Safeway. But yeah, you're not on drugs. You're not on meth. You're not on heroin. You're not on the blues.
Yeah, it's hard to find somebody like that out here. I may be crazy in people's eyes, man. Who cares? I don't even give a fuck anymore.
Well, you're not drunk and you're not on drugs. You're cool to hang
Yeah,
out
that's
with.
probably why I don't give a shit anymore. Because if I'm numbing myself out like this sober did, imagine the things that you can do when you're like that. You know what I mean? I just got to really watch my anger and my temperament, which I've been doing a really good job of.
I do a really good job of making sure I show people when I'm angry.
Mhm.
When it's absolutely necessary. But I'm always scared. And that's what anger comes
You
from.
go grab this.
I have of you get caught. Remember,